Well, hello all my fluid art friends. It's Doris at DF Designs. I'm finally going to do the video that shows you how I cover the back of my canvases with press and seal and some easy tricks so you can have the pretty backs that are as pretty as the front. Okay, the first thing you need, of course, is a box of press and seal. I prefer to use frog tape. Now on these traditional size canvases, it's not very wide on the back, so I don't use anything wider than this. You need a good Exacto knife, and I'll show you in a minute why. And then you need a pair of scissors because you're going to have to clip the corners, but I'll show you that when I get to it. So let's get started, okay? Now you got to be careful when you're pulling this out because you don't want it to get stuck on anything, and I'm almost at the end of this. Now you can use the edge that they give you to tear it, but I don't use it when I'm cutting my press and seal, because sometimes if you don't pull it hard enough or strong enough, it's not going to cut right. So you want to match up your press and seal. You want to have it overhanging. Let me see if you can see that. Yeah, you can. You want to have it overhanging about a ½ inch on this side because you're going to end up tucking it in before you tape it. Now I realize with an 8x10 I got a whole inch over here. Now I probably should have pulled just a little bit more out. Yeah, I think I will, because I don't like the box that close to where I'm going to be cutting. This is what happens when you're at the end of the box. It's very, very hard to pull out because you don't want to get any wrinkles in it, okay? And it's okay if it hangs over a little bit more. Now what I do is I put it down on a cutting board. This is just a plain old cutting board. Reason I do that is because you can use this edge right here to tear it with, but it doesn't tear clean unless you pull it really, really fast and really strong, and I have a problem with that. So I look at how much this is overlapping over here, and I cut roughly the same thing over here, and you get a nice clean cut. This stuff is not easy to cut with scissors, so that's why I do the cutting board with the knife, okay? Oh, I got it a little crooked, so let me straighten it out. Okay, now you want to lay it down to where it's overlapping, hanging over in almost the same directions. Now I start with one edge, and what I do is I match it up just a little bit below the staples, okay? And then that way I can take the excess and push it in, okay? Now I shouldn't have to overlap it because it should, as I'm pushing it in and getting it tight to the canvas, the overhang will just stay there. Now of course you're going to have on these small canvases, you're going to have a little bit more overhang than you really want, but don't worry, you can just kind of tuck that in like that. Let me get this side and then the other side, and then I will show you. You just match it up where you're going to put your tape over it, and then you tuck the rest of it in. Don't worry about the corners at the moment because we're going to get to those. Wait a minute, I wanted to get this up there we go, just a little bit more. Don't worry about the corners because we're going to clip them, and the reason I clip them because I don't want that bulkiness in the corner and making my canvas unlevel. So what I do is I hold up the corner, I hold my scissors in here, and then I can pull it up as I'm clipping, and you get a pretty smooth area right there that you're going to end up taping over anyway. See, it's a little hard to cut through this stuff with scissors if it's not tight against the blade. So you basically, you hold your corner up, you put your scissors in, okay, then you clip after you pull it up. Now you could probably tuck your corners in. I just like doing this so that way I know all the bulkiness is gone from the corners. Now if you're going to put push pins in, don't even worry about this part, okay? You can just fold it back as best you can. Now I got all my corners clipped. Now what I do for the tape, okay, I never tape right up against the edge, because there's a possibility if it's not straight, you'll have a little bit of an overhang. So after you've done your pouring, you got all the paint dripping down the sides, you'll end up with some right there on the overhang, and that you end up having to either sand off or cut off, because it's going to stick out. So I match it up. Let me make sure you're seeing this. Oops. I match it up right here in the corner, about 1/8 of an inch away from the side, and 1/8 of an inch away, because when you get around to taping this, you don't want to have more tape than you need. And then I push it down. Now see, I got about 1/8 of an inch. And then what I do is I cut it before I push it down, because it's easier to cut if it's not stuck down. That way you're not accidentally cutting the corner. Okay, now you just go around and you tape the rest of them. I stick it down about, oh, maybe 1/2 inch away from the corner. And for some reason, it's easier for me to cut in this direction. I think it's because of the blade that's on top. I guess I could turn it, I don't think I could turn it over though, because then the handle wouldn't be right. You could also, I've done this before too when I couldn't find my scissors. When you get it laid down and you get it matched up most of the way, you can take your knife very, very carefully, start the tear, and then you should be able to tear the rest. And it's pretty straight, but don't worry if that edge is not straight, because you're going to be covering it up with the next piece of tape that you're putting down. And you very carefully lay it down before you push it to make sure that it's okay. See, I don't know why it is I have that problem. And there you go. When you pour on this canvas, you're only going to have a little bit of paint right there, which is okay. That's not going to look that bad. And you're not going to have it anywhere in here. Even when you got paint-filled gloves on and you got your fingers, let me put it down, you got your fingers in here to hold it, you're not going to get any paint on the wood or any paint on the back of the canvas. So I hope that this explains to you, and I hope my little tips and tricks help you out. So now let's all have pretty backs to our canvases. Thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe. Subscribe button is right up here. Okay, and I have other tips and tricks about little things that I do, so you can check out this video over here, or you can check out this video down here. And I love the fluid arts right out of you guys.